Hello everyone, good morning. This is Julia Lopez here and the founder of Speak Up and Lead Academy. But today you are here with me with the Speak Up and Lead Talks, the place to be for sexy and savvy conversations. And this morning is Monday morning, 9:30, believe me. And this morning I have a special guest with me here. It's Path Duckworth. I met Path last February in London, where we both shared a panel discussion at the Women Economic Forum. And since then, we have been in touch. We had shared experiences. I had the pleasure of being interviewed by Pat. Now I'm paying back. Also, we shared contacts. Lisa Dad, my last interview, she was sent to me by Pat. So that's the beauty when we are in this world of entrepreneurs, where we are really open to share, to collaborate and support others to move forward. And before I welcome Pat, she is on a mission here. She is helping women to find their entrepreneurial mojo. And here I have her book with me, which I'm gonna ask her to explain certain things here for us. So let's welcome Pat. Pat, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Tulia. It's fun to be with you, even if it is early on a Monday morning.
Yeah, so you know, some people 9 o'clock is already, they're out there doing many things, but for me, it's not my strong time of the day, and even more considering Monday. So Pat, tell us, Hot Women Rock. How to discover your midlife entrepreneurial mojo. I'm very curious about how Hot Women Rock starts.
Good question. Well, it started probably about 8 years ago. I was working in central government here in the UK, and I'd been a civil servant for over 30 years. And I was walking to work one morning. It was a lovely morning, sun was shining. I was right in the middle of London and walking through the park. Buckingham Palace was off to my right. I could hear Big Ben. And I was on my way to my nice office and my lovely team. And I was crying. I was crying because I was so miserable in my job. It was everything that I'd been aiming to do. I'd reached that pinnacle that years ago I thought, I wonder if I'll ever get there. And then I got there and I didn't really like it. So I thought, I've really got to do something. I've got to make a major change in my life. I'm not willing to do this until I get to retirement and then wonder what happened to my life. So I went home that night and said to my husband, I can't keep doing this. You know, it's just no fun anymore. And he said to me, I know, it's time you did something different, which is a great response. You know, it was very supportive. So I said, well, you know, I've got to think about what it is that I really want to do. And I'd been interested in neuro-linguistic programming for a number of years. So I decided to register to do a course part-time at weekends, which is run by something called the Quest Institute, which combines NLP with hypnotherapy and positive psychology. So I went off, and that was the first stage of my journey, was to go and do that course, not knowing what I would do with it, but I just felt that I had to make that step. And from that step, within a few months, before I'd even started the course, an offer came up to take voluntary retirement at work, early retirement, and I was in my mid-50s. I qualified to do that, and so I took my early retirement, went skipping out the door and started my course, and started on my course becoming a rocking hot woman.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And it's like when you say now, after everything's over, after you have started already, everything seems very spontaneous and easy, right? But we do know that every time when you say I was crying, this was probably you been this struggle for very long until making a decision. And it was awesome that you had the support. The answer from your husband was perfect. It was very good, but I know from fact, you know, that everything takes a time and time to think what are you gonna do next, or what exactly, even when you have already made a decision, right?
Yeah.
And then to plan ahead what you're going to do. And then you say here in your book, in the back, you ask, do you have a fulfilling dream or life purpose? Is there something you feel passionate about it? My question to you will be, once embraced this new journey, did you find your life purpose and your passion?
Yeah, because I'd always, throughout my time in the civil service, I started in a technical job, a professional technical job as a surveyor valuing properties, and then moved up into management and then into corporate work. But I'd always had this underlying passion for helping and coaching people. And also there's a bit of a healing gene that runs through our family. When I was very young, when I was a teenager, I thought about becoming a nurse. And then at 16, I was really quite ill, and I spent some time in hospital, and I saw what nurses did and how hard they worked. And I thought, oh, I don't think I want to be a nurse. But I think there was that thing in the background about wanting to help people to heal. And so through the cognitive hypnotherapy, I managed to fulfill those parts of me that wanted to coach people, help them develop. Also with that element of healing, you know, how can I help you get over the issues that you're experiencing? So I think all that came to the surface in that change of direction that I made.
And nowadays, share with us a little bit what you do in this healing process. What is the system you use, and what is the process if we go with you?
So I'm a cognitive hypnotherapist, and that means I do use neurolinguistic programming and positive psychology as well as clinical hypnotherapy. And part of that, I mean, what I've specialized in is helping women at midlife with menopause symptoms. And, you know, what immediately comes to mind is the hot flushes and the brain fog, the bad sleep, those sort of issues. But of course, it can be lack of confidence, and it can be that whole desire when you get to that age to really fulfill your dreams. Because, you know, as you know from looking at the book, you know, I ended up interviewing a number of women about how they made this really massive change at that time of their life. Because I think as women, our body starts to signal that time is passing, and, you know, we haven't got any time to lose anymore. If we want to get after that dream, it's time to do it. So I also help women I coach them into understanding what it is they wanted to do. Sometimes people are quite clear about what it was they wanted to do. Other times they know they're dissatisfied, but they're not sure what it is they want to do. So I'm helping them with the physical symptoms, but if there's something else, you know, a big change they want to make, I'm coaching them through that change as well.
You know, a long time ago, I read a book that really impacted me. It's called The Female Brain. I don't know if you know about this book. It's basically an essay from a doctor in US, and her name now just left my mind. I can give to you guys afterwards. But mainly, she goes through the whole process of women since babies throughout the life, and as is a study, she goes comparing boys and girls, adolescents and women, and when it gets to the 50s, she said, like, biologically our body sends us a signal that your job is done, as in terms of looking after family, looking after kids. And she noticed that there's a big shift in women's mind and psychology of then allowing themselves, then now is my time to do what I want. And many don't do that without even notice. Yeah. But that's is our body also plays a big part on that, because understands that, okay, everybody is looked after now. Now is your time to look after yourself. So then that comes to my next question, you, because I love the title of your book because it's very intriguing. First, Hot Woman Rock, everybody loves that. But then you say how to discover your midlife entrepreneurial mojo. And when I first read this, and I said, what the hell is an entrepreneurial mojo? Can you explain that to us?
Well, I just love that word because it kind of sums up that kind of sexy, get out there and do something, feel about it. Because, I'd spent a lot of time working in public service. There's nothing entrepreneurial about that. And I think a lot of women, the jobs they do are in that first part of their life are fitting around family and other demands. And then suddenly they're discovering this kind of spark, they're wanting to do something. And being an entrepreneur isn't that 9-to-5 job. I think somebody described entrepreneurs as the only people who give up a 36-hour-a-week job to take on an 80-hour-a-week job, because, when you get that passion into your life, there's something you really want to do, a message you want to get out there, the purpose that you want to fulfill, it sparks something inside you that's quite exciting. So I wanted to find a word that summed up that excitement, if you like, the risk-taking that goes with being an entrepreneur, that all of that stuff that comes together that makes you just motivated to get up every Monday morning thinking, wow, I wonder where this week's going to take me. So yeah, I hope that Mojo kind of brings all that together.
Yeah, it sounds sexy, definitely, because it grabs the attention. It's awesome. And now, for the ladies that you work in general, like, let's try to generalize, because we know each case is a case. What would be some actions that you see women when we are getting to the midlife and, my husband is a doctor. He keeps saying to me, menopause is not a disease. No. Just get on with it, But of course, we know that each woman is different. Throughout life, being a girl, being women, and sharing our woman side and our monthly experiences, every single one is different. Would you have some just few action steps that we could take to make our life to go towards this entrepreneurial mojo, or even like if you don't want to become an entrepreneur, not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, but finding this brightness in your life again. So what would be your saying on that?
So first is a really practical step that sometimes at this stage of life, you can feel quite tired, that brain fog's coming in, you're starting to wonder what's going on in your head. So my really practical tip is about getting proper sleep at this time of your life. So whether that's, have a look at what's happening with your sleep, and perhaps you need to get a better bedtime routine going. Perhaps you need to look at what you're eating that's supporting you or stopping you from sleeping well. Perhaps there's something you could be eating that would be really helping you. There's lots of foods that support sleep. So, first step is get some good sleep so you cleared the brain fog and you've got the energy and you've got the enthusiasm to get going. And then what I would suggest is really doing an audit of your capabilities and your strengths. Now, some women, if they've been primarily caregivers up to this stage of life, think, well, I haven't got that many capabilities. Well, yes, you have, because if you've been running a home, you've got budgeting skills, you've got time management skills. If you've been dealing with children, you've probably got really good negotiation skills, because children are the hardest negotiators. You've probably been driving the children around everywhere. So, you've got good skills at driving and, planning the day. And if you've been at work, well, then think about what transferable skills you've got. you've probably, again, as you know, whether you've been at work or you've been at home, you've probably got good networking skills, all the people that you've made contact with, how you've built up your network. So really be honest with yourself. And if you're finding it difficult to think what your skills are, talk to your friends, talk to, you know, the supportive members of your family. Say, you know, if you were describing me, what would you say were my capabilities? And you might be surprised by the things that people say to you that you just hadn't recognized. And then from that, you can think, well, what is it that I really wanted to do? And what are the skills that I'm going to need in order to do that? So for me to become a hypnotherapist, I needed professional skills. I had to go and train to do that. And I needed a qualification because I needed insurance. And obviously I needed to know what I was doing when I was working with my clients, and a coaching qualification as well. But, you know, there are other skills that you need as an entrepreneur. Well, you know this, you know, you've got to be able to put forward a message. Other people have got to buy into what you do. So what are the entrepreneurial skills that you need? Or are you quite a good entrepreneur already? And what are the management skills that you need? Because you're going to have to manage your business initially. So do you need to know about tax, about bookkeeping? Do you need to know some IT skills? You know, there's all sorts of management skills that you might need in order to run your business. And don't be afraid of it. You know, don't think, oh, I'm too old to learn all of this. No, you're not. And, you know, there's so much now that's available online for free. Again, don't think, I can't afford to do this because I can't afford the training. There's so much that's available. Just do some searches and start yourself off and find out the basic skills that you need so that you can get going with your business.
That's awesome. You gave us so many information there from how to make this transition, right? And I think that one of the key points here is don't be alone. And go, I keep mentioning this, reach out for help, because I talk for myself how many times in my life I was struggling on my own because I thought I had to have all the answers. And even I believe in moments like this where we are changing dramatically and physiologically and mentally, psychologically without noticing. And it's very important that we are surrounded by people that can understand us. And one thing that I've noticed in the past, let's say 5 years, 7 years maximum, and being an entrepreneur, the more and more groups, support groups in specific topics. And what you said, like go and if you think everything is expensive, you have to pay for everything. Not necessarily, and because certain things, before even knowing what you want to do, I would say join groups, meetup groups, as women's associations, and groups that will be supportive, that will then help you to open your mind towards the direction you want to go, and then you would be able to decide, and then you see what investment you need to do in terms of financial investments, time-wise, and etc. But I think the key is to trust also that you can move forward, but that you don't need to do it alone.
Yes, definitely. That is so important.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done, because we tend to then try to do everything here. No, I'm going to figure this out. And this is one thing I believe women, we need to learn, because although we say that we are more inclusive, we work more in communities. However, I believe that this working together, sharing tasks, we're still not so good at that. We're still like trying to keep everything under our wings, even if we are in the group, but we still want to keep our own territory, and expanding and opening these wings and sharing, I think is something that we are in the process to get there.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yeah, Pat, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Well, I just think, you know, from talking to other women entrepreneurs over this period of years, what I've found is that, You know, a key thing to remember is that businesses keep evolving. When you're an entrepreneur, it's not about things standing still. So if you start and you do something and it's not quite working out the way that you expected it to, that's fine. Take the feedback from what you're doing and keep evolving your business. My business is evolving all of the time. And so I can't predict what will happen next year from what happened this year. I mean, this year I've been traveling, I've been speaking a lot, and, you know, there's some more lovely journeys coming up in front of me. But I wouldn't have predicted that from last year. So I'm quite excited about next year because I don't know, I've got no idea what that's going to be like, but I know it will be different from this year. So just keep evolving, taking the feedback, and don't be afraid if things don't work out, because you can learn from it and you can take the next step forward.
Wow, that's awesome message. Thank you so much, Pat. It's been a pleasure talking to you then with this Monday morning. And for the ones there watching us, I will give you all the information about Pat, about her book. Get her book. It's really awesome. And we will keep here. And Pat will be in Denmark this December. For the ones who are around Denmark, she'll be sharing her work there, and I will send more information after that. Thank you so much. And this is Julia Holobas here, and you are in Speak Up and Lead Talks, the place to be for sexy and savvy conversation. And let's talk again soon. Bye for now.